Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Trina here with a new video for you. In this video, we'll dive into the deep dive Rei Ayame from the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, let's get started. Out of all the Neon Genesis Evangelion characters, Rei Ayanami is arguably the most iconic. She is generally the cover image of most Evangelion media and merchandise and is easily recognizable. IGN ranked her as number 10 in their top 25 anime characters of all time. If you're familiar with the series, you know her very well and know why she's so popular. If you're not familiar with the series, you've probably seen her at one point or another and are wondering, who is that girl? Why does she appear everywhere? Rei is one of the most important characters in the series, so in this video, we'll explore and explain her as best as possible. Rei is introduced as a quiet and apathetic girl who has no interest in interacting with other people. She mostly keeps to herself and her past is ambiguous. Her only role in life is to pilot her Eva and fight the angels. She is known as the first child due to being the first pilot of any of the Eva units. She's the pilot of Eva Unit 00. Her first appearance in the anime is the first episode, when Shinji arrives at Tokyo 3. While waiting for Misato, he sees her standing in the middle of a street wearing her school uniform. He doesn't meet her in person till after his father, Gendo, demands him to pilot an Eva. Shinji initially refuses but changes his mind reluctantly after seeing Rei. She's rolled out on a stretcher, covered with bandages over numerous injuries. An experiment on Eva Unit 00 failed, causing it to go berserk and violently eject Rei from the cockpit. The metal had overheated and she would have died if Gendo had not torn the hatch open and saved her. She's later taken to a hospital, where Gendo tells Shinji she will stay for 20 days. Rei eventually recovers enough to attend school, still wearing bandages, however. She doesn't speak to anyone else, and Shinji watches her staring out the window. Their next interaction is when she informs Shinji of an emergency call about the next angel, Shamshel, attacking the city. After the battle and Shinji threatening to run away, Rei is seen at NERV headquarters being inspected by Misato and Ritsuko. Her body is still damaged and wrapped up with bandages. Gendo gives the command for Eva Unit 1 to be reconfigured to allow Rei as pilot, rather than just Shinji. This is successful, and Rei is now able to pilot both Unit 00 and Unit 1. When Shinji goes back to NERV and agrees to be a pilot, he notices burn marks on Gendo's hands. Misato and Ritsuko inform him of the incident where Rei almost died but was saved by Gendo. Shinji is hesitant to believe them and begins observing Rei from afar. At school, his classmates Toji and Kensuke notice him watching her and assume he has a crush on her. Shinji tells them he was wondering why she is always alone. At NERV headquarters, he witnesses Rei openly chatting and smiling with Gendo. Mitsuru forgets to give Rei a new NERV ID card and asks Shinji to deliver it to Rei's apartment. He rings the doorbell, but there is no answer, and he enters after finding the door unlocked. Rei's apartment is very bare with only necessary furniture, such as a bed and refrigerator. It is also unkempt, with her bed not made and a bag full of bloody bandages hanging off of her fridge. A pair of Gendo's glasses are on her dresser, which catches Shinji's attention. He tries them out as Rei comes out of the bathroom in a towel, having just showered. She walks over to him and takes them back, causing both of them to trip and land on each other. She is unbothered by the situation and leaves after dressing. At NERV headquarters, her ID card doesn't work and Shinji finally gives her the new card. Their first conversation is initiated by Shinji. He asks if she's afraid of not piloting Unit 00 again, even if it goes berserk. Rei ignores his question and asks if he has faith in Gendo. After Shinji replies negatively, Rei slaps him across the face and they stop talking. She takes the glasses with her into the Eva and has a successful reactivation. The angel, Ramiel, attacks and causes enough injuries to Unit 1 for Shinji to be hospitalized. Misato comes up with a plan to beat the angel, have Unit 1 use all of the energy in Japan to shoot it with an enormous precision gun from the Japanese Strategic Self-Defense Force. Unit 0 will have a shield to protect Unit 1 for around 17 seconds. Rei enters Shinji's hospital room and informs him of the new plan. Shinji refuses to pilot the Eva, to which Rei says she will pilot instead and leaves. Despite this, Shinji appears later to take his role in the mission. To ease his mind, Rei tells him that she will protect him, and he asks her why she chooses to be a pilot. She says because she has nothing else in her life and enters her unit. Their plan is successful, but Unit 0 suffers severe injuries from a last-minute attack by the angel. Shinji hurriedly ejects the entry plug and opens the hatch, remembering the damage Rei sustained when he first met her. Luckily, she is unharmed and calm. Shinji breaks down and tells her not to say she has nothing else, or leave without saying goodbye on their missions. She asks him what she should feel at the moment, and he suggests she smiles. This is the first time Rei smiles outside of conversing with Gendo and to anyone else. Her next main appearance is when Asuka joins NERV and transfers to Rei and Shinji's class in school. Asuka is curious about meeting the first child and introduces herself. She tells Rei they can become good friends since it will be convenient during their missions together. Rei simply replies that she'll become friends with Asuka if she ordered to. Rei is present, observing, while Shinji and Asuka train to become synchronized in battle by living together and are attempting to mirror each other while playing Twister. Out of curiosity, Misato asks Rei to try synchronizing with Shinji at the game, which they do flawlessly. Asuka becomes distressed by this and runs away in embarrassment, saying she will get back at them. The Eva pilot's school class organizes a field trip to Okinawa Island, which excites Asuka and Shinji. Unfortunately for them, they cannot leave Tokyo 3 in case of an angel attack. If they are not present, there would be no way to fight back. Misato tells them they need to stay behind to catch up on studying as well. The three decide to make the best of their situation and go to the pool. Rei and Asuka spend time swimming while Shinji studies. An angel in an embryonic state is found in the crater of an active volcano. A mission is started to retrieve the unborn angel for reasons Gendo won't disclose. Asuka initially volunteers to be the pilot who descends, but backs down when she realizes her unit will have to wear a fat suit. This is due to it being extremely dangerous and hot in magma. Rei offers to volunteer but is cut off by a jealous Asuka, who takes the mission and ends up destroying the angel after it hatches. Their next mission occurs when all the electricity in Tokyo 3 is shut down and an angel uses corrosive acid to burn a tunnel down to NERV headquarters. The three pilots attempt to make their way to their Evas, but their ID cards won't work without power. Rei checks her emergency manual and they realize they need to get to the headquarters. She again finds a solution when pointing out an air vent they can crawl through to make progress. Asuka lets her jealousy show when she says that Rei is the favorite pilot who disagrees. They reach the Evas in time and the units will be powered up manually. Asuka creates a plan to take down the angel. One Eva is offense, one Eva is defense, and one Eva is backup. Rei offers to be defense, but Asuka turns her down. She assigns Shinji as offense, herself as defense, and Rei as backup. Their plan succeeds and power is restored. Rei and Asuka's relationship is still rocky when Misato gets a promotion and Kensuke plans a party for it. Asuka invites Rei to the party, but she declines the invitation. However, during their next mission against an angel, they use teamwork to take it down. Rei exposes its core and Asuka stabs it to death with her Eva's progressive knife. The next angel appears during a simulation test done on the Eva units and their pilots. A strange corrosion appears and spreads in the facility. Rei is affected by this, screaming when her simulation body breaks free of its restraints. When it tries to reach for the control booth, its arm is shot off. The pilots are ejected and the Evas are run pilotless. The angel is defeated via a computer virus. Fast forwarding through events in the story, Shinji becomes aware of how thorough Rei is while cleaning their classroom. While in the elevator at NERV with her, he asks her what his father is like. She says she doesn't know. Shinji brings up her passion for cleaning, comparing her to a mother and could be a housewife. Rei blushes and becomes slightly distressed, asking him why he would say that. She's also seen later in a helicopter that comes to pick up Gendo after visiting his mother's grave. Her last appearance in that episode shows her inside of a tube that is connected to a biological machine. After Shinji is recovered from his horrific fight with the angel Leilel, he is taken to the hospital. When he wakes up, he sees that Rei is at his side, having stayed there all night. She was extremely distressed when his life was in danger and reacted coldly to Misato's decision to retreat and Asuka's berating of him. Once he wakes up, Rei is glad he recovered and leaves the room. She is next seen having a casual conversation with Gendo. He asks her how she likes school and how she is feeling, but does not ask any personal questions. Later that day, Toji and Shinji go to Rei's apartment to drop off printouts. Seeing her apartment is still a mess, Shinji begins to clean up. Rei arrives home, is shocked to see him, and thanks him for cleaning up. She becomes aware that she has never thanked anyone for anything before. Unit 3 is flown in to be piloted by Toji. After synchronization, it becomes corrupted and goes berserk before turning into an angel. Due to being aware that the pilot inside is Toji, Rei is hesitant to shoot it down. This hesitation causes Unit 3 to sense Unit 0 and attacks it. It begins to infect the Eva through a secretion on its arm. While Rei is still synchronized, the arm is severed. Once Unit 3 is destroyed, Rei and Asuka are sent to the hospital for heavy damages to their bodies. This encounter again causes Shinji to refuse piloting an Eva ever again and attempts to leave the city. While he is closing to leaving, a new angel attacks the city. Despite Rei still suffering injuries, she is sent to pilot Unit 1. The Eva immediately rejects her and is unable to be piloted by her. After trying to synchronize with it, Rei is designated to pilot Unit 0 again. The Angel this time is extremely strong, taking down Asuka's Eva by slicing its limbs and head off. Rei attempts to use an N2 bomb which could result in her own death, but it fails as well. Unit 0's head is also sliced off, with Rei still synchronized and feeling her Eva's pain. Shinji returns, angry that the girls were badly hurt, and defeats the Angel with his Eva in Berserk mode. He fuses with his Eva and becomes LCL inside of it, losing his human form. During this time, his consciousness interacts with multiple characters, including Rei. He vents to her about his hatred for his father and how he felt abandoned by him. She discusses with him why he thinks others have been kind to him, which he assumes is because he is a pilot for Unit 1. Before he wakes up and regains his physical form, he sees images of Rei, Asuka, and Misata asking him to be one with them. The next episode shows more of Rei's backstory. After Shinji's mother disappeared in a freak accident, Gendo began an affair with Ritsuko's mother, Naoko, who is another scientist. Gendo introduced Rei as a child to Naoko, who was reminded of Shinji's mother, Yui. When she searched for Rei's records in the computers, she found that all of her data had been deleted. Rei became lost in the facility and came across Naoko. When Naoko offered to bring Rei with her, the child insulted her and told her that she was replaceable to Gendo. This pushed Naoko into a rage and she strangled Rei to death. After realizing what she had done, she threw herself off of the platform she was on and died on impact. The anime puts her backstory on pause after this. As the series continues, Asuka slowly goes downhill in her performance during battles. Anytime she sees Rei talking with Shinji, she feels extremely jealous and angry. Asuka's downhill performance is noticed by Ritsuko. Rei and Asuka have a confrontation in the elevator when Rei tells her that the Eva units all have a human soul inside of them. Asuka slaps Rei across the face and calls her nothing but a doll to Gendo. When a new angel appears, Rei is sent to fight it with Asuka's backup, much to her annoyance. She rebels by taking the lead away from Rei. The angel is unable to be defeated by normal means, including the Evas. Asuka finds this out when she's attacked psychologically by it and has a mental breakdown, losing synchronization with her Eva. Gendo orders Rei to use the Lance of Longingness to defeat it, and it is effective in killing the angel. Unfortunately, it is lost when it disappears into orbit. Rei succeeding in saving her further angers Asuka, who hates her at this point. Rei returns to battle after the next angel, Armisael, appears. Again, Asuka is designated as her backup. Unit 0 is told to remain on standby, but the angel attacks it and begins fusing with it. Rei is unable to be saved by Asuka due to Asuka's synchronization level dropping too low to pilot her Eva. During the fusion of the angel and Eva, Rei becomes aware of another presence inside the unit. Armisael takes the form of Rei and they have a conversation. The angel doesn't understand its emotions and feelings, which Rei recognizes as loneliness. They both are very lonely and Rei begins crying after realizing this. A growth appears on the Eva's back, its form looking similar to the angels that have been killed already. Gendo orders Shinji in Unit 1 to save Rei and her Eva. Shinji attacks the angel, unaware that it and Rei have fused into one. When Unit 1 grabs Armisael, it begins fusing into the Eva's hand. Shinji stabs the angel, which cries out in Rei's voice. He sees multiple faces of Rei coming out of the biofused hand and telling him that it hurts. During this, Rei realizes that she wants to be with Shinji and cares deeply for him. While the angel tries to manipulate him, Rei decides to kill it and herself by self-destructing. Right before dying, Rei remembers Gendo's face smiling at her. After the explosion, her entry plug is found with the charred remains of Rei inside. Shinji suffers a mental breakdown, but Misato is soon told that Rei survived and is in the hospital. When Shinji visits her, she has no memory of the battle that had taken place for saving him, and tells him that she is the third. At this point, Ritsuko reveals to Shinji and Misato the deep underground facility where Rei was born and that houses numerous clones of Rei. Ritsuko kills all of the clones by using the Destrudo release, which disintegrates them. The third and new Rei clone returns to her apartment. As she is looking through her belongings, she finds Gendo's glasses. Despite having no memory of anything that had happened before, she begins to cry and wonders why she feels this way. Shinji struggles with deciding how to tell Asuka about Rei's origins, and is too scared to talk to Rei herself after learning what she is. She is soon acquainted with Kaworu Nagisa, who claims to be the fifth child. When Kaworu meets Rei, he implies that he is aware of her origins, saying she is the same as him. She has no indication of who he is, however, but is extremely suspicious and unwary of him. She is later present when Shinji kills Kaworu after his decision to let humanity live. The second to last episode goes into the psyches of the three main characters. Rei questions who she is and if all of her clones are herself. She says they are false souls and bodies created by Gendo, not the real Rei. One of the Rays says that what makes her herself are the interactions she has with other people. She's questioned about being scared to return to nothingness, but she's not bothered by it. The only reason she won't disappear is because he needs her, and she will stay until the day he abandons her. Gendo appears to Rei and tells her that the Human Instrumentality Project is going to begin. The final episode centers around Shinji and his emotions, trying to figure out what he wants. Visions of his friends appear, with Rei asking what he is alive for, what he is living for, and if he is happy being alive. When the character's fears are revealed, Rei's is the fear of being unloved. Before the episode ends, it shows an alternate reality with everyone in a generic high school comedy story. Rei is a transfer student with completely different personality, happy-go-lucky and ditzy. She is also one of the characters who tells Shinji congratulations at the end. The anime originally ended without giving much insight into Rei's role in the story. There were a lot of unanswered questions that were eventually revealed in re-releases, director's cuts, and follow-up movies. We'll go over the extra information given before the story's continuance in the end of Evangelion. In the series, it is implied that Rei has some connection to Yui Ikari, Shinji's mother and Gendo's wife. When Gendo introduced Rei to the facility, he claimed she was an acquaintance child that he was temporarily taking care of. Naoko took note of the resemblance to Yui. It is stated by the creators that Rei was made using the remains of Yui after being absorbed into Eva Unit 1. Despite having numerous clones of her body, Rei's soul is transferred to whichever clone she is awakened once the previous one dies. Although she retains her soul, her memories don't remain complete. Only 3 clones were used throughout the course of the show. Rei the first, the child that was strangled by Naoko, Rei the second, the one that sacrifices herself to save Shinji, and Rei the third, the last clone seen until her death in the end of Evangelion. When Kaoru tells Rei that they are the same in the anime, it is ambiguous as to what he means. It is later expanded to him explaining to her that they are human vessels for the angels, Adam and Lilith. Rei becomes more prominent in the end of an Evangelion movie and is extremely important to the plot. The movie serves as a continuation replacement for the final episode of the show, which had disappointed fans. After the defeat of the final angel, Gendo plans to use Rei to bring about the third impact by fusing Rei with Lilith. Rei is seen waking up in the middle of the night and gazing at the moon before leaving her apartment. She leaves Gendo's glasses behind, apparently having broken them with intention. The Japanese Strategic Self-Defense Force forces their way into NERV headquarters, killing anyone who stands in their way. Their mission is to kill Shinji, Rei, and Atsuka and take the remaining Eva units. While Misato is trying to gather everyone to hide them, Rei isn't with them. Misato is shot while helping Shinji reach Unit 1 and sees a vision of Rei before succumbing to her wounds. The real Rei has found the tank full of corpses of her clones and is approached by Gendo. She's disdained for him, but he tells her their promised time has come. He takes her to where Lilith is kept secret, a giant angel crucified with a spear of longingness impaled in her chest. When Ritsuko tries to stop Gendo's plans, he shoots her with a pistol. Like Misato, Ritsuko sees a vision of Rei before dying. Gendo plans to use Rei to begin the third impact to his advantage. He had embedded the embryo of Adam in his hand, and Rei was created by using parts of Yui. Merging with Rei and using the 2 angels will cause Rei and Gendo to turn primordial soup, reuniting him with Yui. In order to merge with her, Rei must lower her AT field, which causes her body begin falling apart. As one of her arms falls off, Gendo pushes his hand inside of her body, absorbing the embryo. Rei stands up for herself, declaring she is not his doll and rejects him from her body, still keeping Adam inside of her. She fuses with Lilith, who takes on the appearance of a giant Rei. Her form grows in size and passes through every human in proximity. Shinji is inside of Unit 1 and mourning Misato's death when Rei picks it up and embraces it. To calm Shinji down, Rei transforms to the appearance of Kaworu. Eva Unit 1 is pierced with a lance of Longinus, which had returned from orbit. It is transformed to something similar to a god, and Rei gives Shinji the chance to decide what happens to humanity. Her affection for him will grant any wish he asks for. Shinji has visions of his bonds with other people and secrets they had hidden away. He has a vision of himself strangling Asuka after she refuses to help him. Feeling despair from Asuka rejecting him, Shinji tells Rei that he thinks humanity should perish. She begins to grant his wish by having visions of herself visiting each person in the vicinity before dissolving their physical bodies into LCL. Gendo is punished for his selfish actions by Eva Unit 1 picking him up and biting off the upper half of his body. Watching this happen are the 3 Rei clones that appeared in the story. The bandaged Rei II picks up his eyeglasses that have fallen to the ground. While Rei is absorbing all the souls, Shinji sees visions of real life rushing through his mind. He asks her what the difference between dreams and reality are, to which she replies that dreams are an escape to fantasy and that reality begins where dreams end. Her neck breaks with a large cut, releasing more LCL, and her body begins to collapse back onto Earth. Shinji merges with Rei and appears in a large body of LCL. When he questions where they are, she tells him that their souls are now merged with the souls of every other person on Earth. Shinji changes his mind, realizing this reality was even more lonely. Rei again asks him of his final choice and begins to reverse the human instrumentality. Her body begins falling apart as it decays as a result of bringing back its AT shield. Her limbs and head detach, landing back on Earth, which has become a desolate and dead planet. Once Shinji regains his physical form, the last time he sees Rei is as a vision that quickly disappears. The giant decomposed head of Rei stays on the ground and the series ends. In the Rebuild movies, Rei has many differences and changes from the anime series, so that Rei will be covered in another video. In the manga, Rei is more open to contact with others due to her interactions with Shinji. She's implied to be in love with him, and Shinji has similar feelings but isn't sure exactly what he feels for her. They become closer as the manga continues and Rei gains new confidence, wanting to be seen as a person rather than a doll. A moment that is important to her is when she holds hands with Shinji, and rejects Gendo at the end when he puts his hand inside of her. During the battle with Armisael, the angel gets into her mind and makes her realize her feelings for Shinji. It tries to convince Rei that she is a terrible person who hates Asuka and wants Shinji all to herself. This comes from Shinji visiting Asuka every day in the hospital while she is comatose. Rei accepts this and still self-destructs Unit Zero. The new clone remembers previous activities and wonders how she is still alive after the battle. Neon Genesis Evangelion Anima retcons the ending of the original series where the third impact was never started at all. During this story, the third Rei is the main one and is 17 years old. Her other 3 clones are also active and are used to pilot the Evas, but are kept in orbit and are only shells with no personalities. Rei III has a mental link to each of them, but it causes a large strain for her to use it. Gendo had still died in this universe, leaving Shinji as an orphan. Being older, Rei III now resembles Yui very closely and keeps Shinji at a distance lest she takes on a motherly role to him. Despite staying distant from Shinji, Rei III has become friends with Asuka. Rei III worries that Shinji only sees her as a replacement for Yui and has self-doubt, which intensifies when the Rei clones become sentient and independent. She becomes mind-controlled by Celia at one point but is saved by Shinji. She opens up to him and cries for the first time in years. Rei IV initially becomes a rogue agent to Amoros, but changed to work for Seele. According to Rei III, 4 is based off of the fears of the original Rei, Ayanami, and is worried about Shinji seeing her as his mother. She has a romantic attraction to him, but he does not reciprocate. Rei V dies after helping Asuka reach the moon, and Rei VI is a child. She was deliberately created to be that size in hopes that she would be able to pilot an Eva more efficiently. She has a childish personality but is as intelligent and capable as the others in combat. In the Shinji Ikari Rising project, Rei is portrayed as a somewhat normal schoolgirl who's a distant relative of Shinji's. She's very intelligent and shows more emotions than her other incarnations. Shinji and Asuka's constant bickering amuses her and she smiles more. A parallel scene to the anime occurs where Rei steps out of the shower in a towel while Shinji is in her room. Instead of being apathetic, she takes on a tsundere attitude and slaps him across the face. Throughout the story, she becomes very close to Shinji and is at one point considered a threat by Asuka. Neon Genesis Evangelion Angelic Days does a complete 180 on Rei, turning her into an extroverted and energetic schoolgirl. She is now a transfer student and has romantic feelings for Shinji, which she confides in Asuka. Despite being very bubbly, she is still socially awkward and gets confused about interactions with other people. Neon Genesis Evangelion Gakuen Datenroku has her reprising a somewhat similar role to her original. She is part of a secret club that fights angels and wields the lance of Longius in battle. While still a bit cold and quiet, she is also popular in class for being attractive and eccentric. She is still a clone of Yui and Gendo wants to use her for the same purpose. When she refuses to cooperate, Gendo shoots her. Despite being badly injured, she is shown to have recovered and attending school again with Shinji and Asuka. They lead normal lives after Gendo's death and the defeat of the angels. Petite Eva Evangelia at school has 3 versions of Rei, all of whom attend school with everyone else. Rei I is the incarnation of the original normal Rei from the series, slightly distant but warm to Shinji and the others. Rei II is the alternate universe cheerful schoolgirl who gets excited easily. Rei III is a child version, seen before Naoko tried to kill her. She is bratty and will throw a tantrum when she doesn't get her way. Rei also appears in numerous other forms of media as a cameo, including other anime, cartoons, comics, video games, etc. Rei is everywhere. Evangelion as a series uses a similar formula to Legend of Zelda, where the same characters are used for different roles. Because of this, Rei's personality can change, but the anime series version is almost always the base. Since there are so many incarnations of Rei, we'll just focus on the original Rei. Rei has a mysterious aura, and there are indeed many layers to her as a person. She starts off as a quiet and apathetic girl who only does what is commanded of her. She is generally unhappy and feels cut off from the rest of the world, knowing she is replaceable by a clone. Her only close relationship is to Gendo, but out of loyalty. When Asuka asks if Rei would kill herself if Gendo ordered her to, Rei says yes. She always speaks quietly and can be blunt at times, saying whatever is on her mind whether it will offend the receiver or not. Her apartment is messy and she has the bare minimum inside, no personal items. Despite being antisocial and not caring for most other people, she begins to love Shinji after he shows her genuine kindness. She never shows her love for him in a conventional way, only smiling at him and asking his wish for the faith of humanity. Her only other interest seems to be reading about psychology, genetics, and learning German. Rei has a very unique look that makes her stand out in a crowd. She has a thin frame with pale skin, giving her the appearance of a frail girl. Her hair is a shaggy bob cut with bangs, a light blue color. She has red eyes due to being an artificial human, and is either seen with a neutral expression on her face or a slight smile. She has two main outfits that she is seen wearing the most, her school uniform and her plug suit. Her school uniform is the same as the other girls, a navy blue vest and skirt over her white shirt with a red bow on the collar. She wears black socks with white shoes in contrast to the other girls. Her plug suit is also white with black on the underside of her arms. Most notably, she wears white clips in her hair that slightly resembles cat ears or horns and has 00 on the middle of her chest. Due to being the first child, Rei can pilot Ava Unit 0 and Unit 1, although later on, Unit 1 will reject her. Unit 0's identity of the soul inside is never revealed, but it was connected to Rei somehow and they had a bond. She was skilled in combat and taking down angels until she self-destructed Unit 0 during a fight with an angel. Notably, she was able to take down an angel with a solo kill. There are a few more interesting notes about Rei to go over before the end of the video. Rei's first name means zero in Japanese, fitting to piloting Unit 0 and not being a real human. If Gendo and Yui had a daughter instead of a son, they would have named her Rei. She initially can synchronize with Unit 0 and Unit 1, but Unit 0 will never let anyone except for Rei to pilot it. She's also vegetarian, which she tells the others after passing on their offer of steak. When they go for ramen, she orders garlic ramen with no pork. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has got you covered. Our We the Celestials My Hero Academia and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, then I'd like to extend you an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being that we only accept members from 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day.